Morning everybody, Corey here. Today is the 24th and today is Wednesday of August, and right now it is 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to go over chapter 3 of our lovely book called You by Charles F. Haanel. And I'm going to go ahead and start my timer. Remember, we're doing these in 20-minute increments, and today we're going to go over our chapter called Mental Vibrations. Okay, so I believe it said it started on page 55. Let me check. Yes. So let's go to page 55. Okay, section 3, Mental Vibrations. Energy reveals itself in manifold phases, according to the media through which it manifests. The energy is one and identical, but it becomes diversified as it penetrates different substances or organisms. Infinite energy is ether in motion or rhythmic vibrations. Consciousness, then, is the registration of the universal energy within a vital organism. When the earth is turned towards the sun, the direct rays agitate the nerve cells of the body. This agitation or vibration results in what we term consciousness. Consciousness is basically saying is the result of everything within this body being its contact from the vibrations of the sun, because the sun is the source of all energy and of all life. And how we learn that even the brain is part of the physical body, and the physical body is nothing but chemical reactions. Okay, and consciousness is something that is in control of this physical body. All nerve cells possess dendrites which touch each other and by means of which nerve currents are transmitted from one cell to another. These currents are necessary for consciousness, and when the dendrites no longer contact these direct rays or currents, they spontaneously grow shorter so that they no longer come in contact with one another, and sleep results. The neurons simply draw in their processes at night. They use a popular phrase, they, quote, hang up the receiver, end quote. The sensory stimuli which reach us during sleep are not of a nature or of an intensity to arouse conscious vibrations, but they often give rise to dreams. Dreams of this type are illusions, pure and simple, such as are not unusual in normal life, and which are so common in many of the neuroses. They are simply the erroneous interpretation of actual stimuli. The universe is regarded as composed of several regions or planes, of which our visible physical plane is one. The earth and everything in it, with the sun, moon, and planets, are situated on the physical plane. The other planes are not distant globes removed from us by space, but are situated in the within of space, everywhere surrounding and interpenetrating the planes we know. To distinguish these interior planes, the expedient seems to have been accepted from very ancient times of naming them after the states of matter with which we are familiar: earth, water, or air. These three forms of consciousness correspond to the three relative rates of motion: the sun, the moon, and the earth. The earth turns upon its axis in one day. During this time it contacts all 12 of the great constellations, remaining in each one for a period of 2 hours. We thus receive every celestial vibration and consequential state of vibration. Every human being is essentially a spark of the, quote, divine light, end quote, the light that lighteth every man that cometh into the world. The divine spark can reach the matrix of matter only by coming into contact into the physical plane or denser regions of the material world. The light, the divine spark that lighteth every man, your own individual point of consciousness, your Christ self, your spiritual self, the self which is the self that is living within you as consciousness, bringing itself out of you in the material world, the physical plane, by the nature of your thoughts, by what you are thinking, by the actions you take, by the words you speak, by the way you feel. And we also have the ability to feel other people's feelings, to feel other people's thoughts, to do Yeah, the divine spark. You are the divine spark. The unit of consciousness is a seed placed in the material world, which is constantly turning and in a day of 24 hours comes under the influence of all the constellations. In Taurus, the sense of smell is developed. In Gemini, the sense of touch is developed. In Cancer, the sense of taste is developed. In Leo, the sense of sight is developed. In Virgo and Libra, the internal organs of the brain are developed. And in Scorpio, the generative forces are developed, or are quickened. Having now acquired all of his physical senses, man turns to Sagittarius, where he is imbued with the qualities of love and devotion. He is then carried to Capricorn, the symbol of action and service. Next comes Aquarius, from which he receives reason and intuition. And finally, he is placed under the influence of Pisces, where he is given wisdom and understanding. Mind is a phase of transformed energy in every form of organic matter. It is in the molecule as well as in the cell. This energy, impinging on the elements that compose the substances of Earth, is transformed into the molecular energy that maintains and organizes physical substances, namely adhesion and cohesion. Now there is something I want to add to that, because he is saying how mind is the phase of transformed energy inside of the body, and every single thing which is in existence, period. There's a mind behind it, holding it together, creating it and recreating it. You know, like us, our minds, we are all spiritual beings with the conscious and subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is a part of ourselves which is responsible for, you know, the growth of our hair, the growth of our nails, the continuous generation of our regeneration of our cells. You know, we don't have to think about this to happen. We don't have to consciously make our heart beat. You know, it's something that is put within the control of our subconscious mind, and our conscious mind has the ability to go out and do things outside the realms of the subconscious. And the conscious mind is the watchman, also the watchman at the gate, making sure that the subconscious mind, nothing gets into it, because at least not allowing any element to get into it that wouldn't be of any benefit to the actual individual or the character of that person, because our subconscious, what we subconsciously do is what we habitually do, and we have the ability to suggest things to ourselves until it becomes autosuggestion, until it becomes a subconscious phenomena within ourselves. Like when you're trying to take on a new habit, you know, it first must happen consciously. You have to choose to go out and do that specific thing, and the more you do it, the more you think about it, the more it just becomes like a regular thing to you. And as it starts to become more and more of a regular routine for you, it starts to become what is known as subconscious. Okay, it's just something you start to do automatically, and that is the power that we have as human beings. You know, we have the ability to want to go out and do something, you know, and it gets synced within our subconscious, okay, becoming a part of our character, who we are. And after that becomes established within ourselves, we then have the ability for our conscious part of ourselves to go on and do something else that we want to add to our character, okay? And what we were doing before is still going to be a part of who we are, because it's still as intelligent as it was before, subconsciously, as it first was consciously. And mind, you know, everything is under the control of mind, and everything is influenced by mind. You know, like people who like the placebo effect, you know, like whatever we believe comes true within ourselves. You know, this actual old Indian saying that what you believe becomes a law unto you. You know, whatever you believe about yourself, you know, it's obviously true about yourself, because that's what you believe, and you're gonna take that belief and you're gonna embody that belief, because as you know, our own individual spark of consciousness, whatever we embody within our minds, you know, that is expressed through this organic matter, you know, this man that we all live and move and have our being, you know, our temple of existence. And every molecule of our body, as well as every cell, has mind within it. You know, it has our mind flowing through it. You know, and whatever thoughts we think, you know, like the nature of the thought we think will determine the nature of whatever, you know, how your body's going to respond to that. You know, and like if you think negative thoughts, your body's going to respond to that by creating cortisol or releasing cortisol within your bloodstream. Okay, and the bloodstream is where all the cells get everything it needs in order to maintain this life. You know, kind of like how the engine runs on your car. You know, it wouldn't keep going unless it has oil. You know, if it doesn't have oil, then it's just gonna, you know, die. You know, kind of like with us, the bloodstream is like our oil of life. You know, it's the other half of the heart. You know, and it's through the bloodstream that every cell in your body gets everything that it needs. You know, like you take in protein, your muscles need protein. You take in protein, it goes through the digestive system. That protein gets broken down to amino acids. Those amino acids are then traveling through your bloodstream, getting picked up by the muscle tissue cells that need that protein, and then they take in those amino acids, and then they get linked up together by peptide bonds into protein again, and then boom, that's how you build, that's how you get muscles to be built within your cells. You know, your entire body is responsive to whatever you're mentally vibing within yourself. You know, and I also want to add this into it about the other day, just 2 days ago, me and my buddies, we were masterminding. You know, it was me and my buddy Joe. I know I mentioned him, and when we were going over our book, The Science of Being Great, and we went over chapter 10, Think and Grow Rich, and that chapter was talking about the power of the mastermind. And Napoleon Hill, which is the person who wrote this book, very, very interesting concept that he shared with us in the mastermind. And basically what we got from that, because even Napoleon Hill talks about the infinite intelligence, you know, God, the consciousness from which all things come from, and we have the ability to bring ourselves to reception to this consciousness and get the information we need out of this infinite mind which is surrounding all of us, which was the exact same thing that Wallace D. Wattles was talking to us about in his book, The Science of Being Great, as well as The Science of Getting Rich and The Science of Being Well. But the mastermind, he was saying how when two or more people come together, they not only come together as bodies, but they come together as minds as well. You know, their minds link together. I mean, for example, I know for a fact that you've been with somebody before, and you know, if somebody said something and then the other person was like, hey, I was thinking that same thing, or maybe both of you said it at the same time, you know, your minds are linked together. You're thinking from the same mind, you know, and as these two people get together, their minds also get together to form a third connecting mind between the two. And it also goes back to a quote by Aristotle, how he says, love is a single soul inhabiting two bodies. You know, it is a connection that two individuals have built between themselves. You know, that bond. You know, same thing here. Like when you get together with somebody, your minds get together as well. And the power of the mastermind, and because we also learned through the Master Key System by Charles F. Haanel, the author of this book that we're reading right now, that every thought we think, we set brain cells into activity, and according to the nature of the thought we think will be according to the nature of how our brain cells respond to that thought vibration that we think. Because the brain is our instrument, you know, it's our mechanism of attachment. And it literally groups itself, like your brain cells literally group themselves and form themselves in accordance to whatever it is that you're thinking, you know, the nature of your thoughts, you know, the thoughts which you hold habitually, you know, when it becomes subconscious, something you do automatically. And with the mastermind, you know, when you get together with somebody and you build that third mind, you know, and this third mind that is connected between you two, both of your thought energy are going into this mind, and both of your your brain's your instrument of attachment. Like the stronger the nature of this third mind that you guys create, and the stronger the forces between the group, everybody's gonna be responding to the nature of the mastermind vibration between the entire group. Like let's say if there's 4 people in a group that formed one mastermind, all those 4 people are going to be receptive to the energy that is coming from the 4th mind. And he goes into, it's a very interesting concept, and he talks about the spirit of harmony, how when you get your group of people, it has to be a group of people, that are into the same things as you are, who are on the same mission as you are, who want to learn just as much as you do, and are interested in the same type of things that you do. They don't have to be like the same type of person as you. I mean, by all means, it could be anybody. It just needs to be somebody who's willing to work with you and is on the same goals as you are. Wants to accomplish the same things as you. Because when everybody's on that's in the harmonious level, in the spirit of harmony, then the mastermind of which we all share will be harmonious, and it'll be nothing but great energy. And every single body, every mind that is involved in that mastermind energy is going to be receptive to the forces. That is why it's so important to be with people that that vibe with you and are there to help you grow. Because people do have the power to influence you in negative ways, and people have the power to influence you in positive ways. Okay, it's a very real thing, and you need to be careful on where you are putting yourself in reception to these specific types of vibrations or groups of people in general. Because it is like they say, you become like the people you hang out with, and it's true, because you connect with that person, physically and mentally, And I'm also reading, after a while, just reading all of this, I'm firmly starting to believe that mind and spirit are the same thing. Like your mind body, your spiritual body, like spirit and matter, mind and body. Matter and body is the same thing, and mind and spirit, like it has to be the same thing. Like they're I know they say there's 3, but how could there be 3? Like life is a process of, like, a lot of things do happen in 3s. I'm not gonna lie about that, because a lot of things that have happened to me, things that I've seen and experienced, came in 3s. But what about the 2s? Like, there's always 2. There's always just only 2. Like, where does that median come from? Like yeah, we have a mind body. That mind body has to be the same as the spiritual body. Like, it's something that's it's a lot of thinking to do about, when it comes to something like that. Because it is something that needs a lot of time to ponder over. Because they say, how spirit is the substance of the universe, and this spirit is conscious and is able to think. And they say mind is the creative principle of the universe, and mind is in control of all matter. And they say that consciousness, is a mental process. Mind is a mental process. And they say that that thinking is the only activity that spirit creates, or that spirit possesses. And they also say that thinking is the process that mind uses in order to create in the material world. Like they're using these terms as the same things. Even if it's I was gonna say manifested, even if it's put in different ways. Like they're all still talking about this same substance. And when we were going over Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill mentions how there's only two substances of the universe, energy and matter. Energy, a consciousness substance, a substance that is conscious and is able to think, and this substance creates all of matter. Like there's only 2. And even here, like Charles is talking about the the two fundamental principles of energy, matter in motion, ether under strain. It's just a lot to think about, and there's still tons of information to cover, and we still have a good amount of books to read with you guys, and there's still lots and lots of connections that need to be made. But until then, we just need to keep going from where we are now, right? And just, yeah. Let's continue. I really wanted to share that with you, especially since we were going over this entire part. This energy, impinging on the elements that compose the substance of Earth, is transformed into the molecular energy that maintains and organizes physical substances, namely adhesion and cohesion. This is mind in a germinal form, for the office of molecular energy is creative. For the office of molecular energy is creative, and to that extent implies a reaction in the molecule that is the basis of thought and feeling. And what have we learned about the molecule? How the molecules group themselves together to form cells, and the cell is the basic element of man, and molecule, that the molecule is mind in germinal form. For the office of molecular energy is creative, and to that extent implies a reaction in the molecule that is the basis of thought and feeling. So if thought and feeling is a reaction in the base of the molecule, then it must necessarily be behind the cell of which the man is made, because the molecule is what creates the cell. The evolution of life from organic materials is only one state more mysterious than the evolution of any form of matter from another, for in fact it is of that type, and the new changes are little more startling than those which occur at other levels in the chain of creation. Every human being is a microcosmos within himself. He is a universe of cells, each with its individual intelligence. Within his universe, these cells, countless in number, are dying by millions almost momentarily. The cast-off physical bodies of the cells are thrown out of the human system in waste. The life spark in each cell immediately reincarnates and does so over and over again as long as the human system lasts. The intelligence of all the cells makes up the sum total of the intelligence of the human system. Man has been deficient in understanding because his brain receiver did not vibrate to certain subtle influences. The dynamic cell in gray matter of nerve was not finely attuned and did not respond. Now remember how just in the chapters before we were going over the tuning fork. When the tuning fork is put into with B flat, okay, it's only when the pitch of B flat is tuned that the tuning fork will respond, okay, and whatever other tones that the instrument is going to play. And if it's not B flat, then the tuning fork will not respond to that instrument. The situation may be illustrated by a tuning fork, okay, and we're going to go over it again right now, which may be taken to be represented by individual or personal consciousness. The fork is in tune B flat. Place it on the piano and run the scales up and down without sounding B flat, and the tuning fork is unresponsive. Let the B flat be sounded, to which the tuning fork is in harmony, and immediately the fork vibrates. All the notes on the piano are non-existent to the tuning fork, except the one with which it is in accord. And I know I was talking about it earlier, kind of like with us. Okay, remember how since the brain is a receiver, and whatever thoughts are or whatever vibrations our own instrument is responsive to, then it's going to determine what we pick up from the vibrations that are happening outside of us, because we're in tune with the vibrations. And if we didn't have a corresponding brain cell to pick up on that vibration, then it's almost going to be like it doesn't even exist, at least to us anyway. But everything exists within God and in God's world, and it is the world that all of us as individual consciousness, as souls, the world which we all share and create together. Call the tone sounded by the piano suggestions. The only suggestion that has any influence over the tuning fork is the one which with its own pitch is in accord. It is not the piano, but the pitch of the tuning fork, which determines whether or not the tuning fork shall vibrate. Nor does the tuning fork vibrate because it happens to be near some particular piano and is affected by the piano's peculiarities. Let the B flat be sounded on a violin, or on a tin pan for that matter, and the tuning fork will vibrate just as readily. The power given to the suggestion is not in the instrument, but in the pitch of the tuning fork. So whatever vibrations that you have brain cells set in activity to respond to, basically saying that you could receive that vibration from a piano, a violin, a guitar, a drum set. These vibrations can come from any one of those instruments. That this tuning fork is going to pick up on any of those instruments as long as it's in the tone of B flat, because of how we were saying how it's responsive to that vibration. It is in tune with that specific energy. Suppose that someone should desire to destroy the susceptibility of the tuning fork to the pitch of B flat, seeing that the tuning fork vibrates when B flat is struck on the piano. What would be more natural than for him to conclude that the piano alone is responsible for the behavior of the tuning fork, and from this premise to reason that by taking away the piano or removing the tuning fork from the sphere of the piano's influence, the desired end will be accomplished and the tuning fork will no longer be affected by B flat. Okay, so we're going to stop it right here. It's already